Welcome everybody. We're doing a little bit of a Q&A with Sean's son today. He's working on a lot of stuff. He's been working for a long time, and I figured this would be a great way for everyone to kind of get to know him a little bit more. But yeah, I'll let him talk about it himself. Sean, tell us about you and what you do.
Well, my name is Sean Sinnott. I go by Son, as my artist name. I play in a band called The Stitched Up. We're kind of more like on the metal, hardcore side of things for heavy guitars. What I do is a little different for my solo stuff. It's more acoustic centric, more focused on um, chord structure. Some of my biggest influences are the Eagles, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Grateful Dead, um, Steely Dan, and just a bunch of others that I I could name a whole list.
You mentioned like the stitched up is kind of like a metal like heavier kind of project. Would you say like
Yeah.
your personal stuff is more like analog, maybe a little bit less aggressive and more chill? Like what's the vibes that you're working?
Yeah, definitely less aggressive, more chill. I do have some stuff that's like a little on the heavier side, but mainly it's more relaxed and more there's more space
Yeah.
in my songs, like more space to kind of hear things out. This could be a good example. As the days go by, finding time, my mind ain't right. It's too late to notice the life that treat us fine. Don't know why, can't seem to see what's in front of us. It's just a dream, just a dream that I'm living. I grew up with like 60s and 70s music, generally mostly the Beatles. My dad's favorite band was the Beatles, so the Beatles was playing all the time. And he'd always have the classic rock station playing, so I'd hear all these bands like The Who, Led Zeppelin, Steely Dan. I always wanted to incorporate that style of music into what I was doing. And later on, as I got into high school and stuff, I started listening to more like metal, more heavy metal, like Iron Maiden, Metallica. Um, then I met a friend who got me into more like heavier stuff, Trivium, uh, Avenged Sevenfold, Kill Switch Engage, stuff like that. So I ended up playing more heavy like metalcore style with like drop tunes and drop tune guitars like drop D, drop C, and throughout high school played in metal bands. I've always kind of wanted like to blend a little bit more into what I was doing than just like your average metalcore post-hardcore music. I always wanted to kind of take influences from many different places and kind of make my own thing. I think I was like 21 or 22 when I decided to leave the Stitched Up and explore other music, which I ended up listening to more like electronic based, synth based kind of music, like Tame Impala was probably one of the biggest influences at that time.
Tame Impala's awesome,
Tame
especially because
Impala.
it's one guy.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
very inspiring.
It's very inspiring. He was actually my main inspiration for making music at that time, because it's like, if he could do this, why can't I? And that's actually what got me started on this whole like solo project thing.
What instrument did you play? Like, what was your main squeeze?
Uh, so I went from guitar to still playing guitar, but kind of switching over to keys and like synth.
Okay.
Because I got influenced by Tame Impala. A lot of his music was, especially at the time. At the time, he had 3 albums. Inner Speaker, which was like more like a psychedelic rock kind of style. More like guitar. There was more guitar, like rock drums, sort of. And then he had the Lonerism album, which was kind of like a blend of like a lot more synths were involved, but there was still that guitar and those drums that sounded like a rock band. But then when you got to Currents was new. Currents was different. It was very centered around more. It was a lot more centered around synth and like EDM-esque styles.
Yeah.
And but it still felt like a band. Especially the sound of the music was very reminiscent of like the 60s psychedelic style.
Yeah.
Which I think inherently I had always had this taste for psychedelic music, because I don't know what it was, I don't know what it is, but ever since I was a child, I remember just like being really interested in like psychedelic posters that my dad would have, like of the Beatles. Like,
yeah.
Some of the Beatles music was very psychedelic.
Oh yeah.
And
did you have that big yellow submarine poster? That was like a cartoon of like all these bright colors.
I think so. Yeah, my dad had that, and he also had a poster of the 4 of them, but they're all in like psychedelic style. Like, I think John was like, it kind of looked like he was in like Heat Vision, sort of.
Okay.
And then you had Ringo, who was kind of like, it was like a kind of, he looked normal, but it was kind of blued out, and he was holding like a flower.
Okay.
And it was very, very psychedelic. And
stuff you wouldn't expect to see on a music poster as like a kid growing up.
Yeah, it's funny because like there was not much else music that I knew about back then, because my dad would mainly listen to the Beatles. I remember also like one time when I was like 13 or 14 years old, listening to One by Metallica and hearing the solo in that song. Now, Metallica is not inherently psychedelic at all. But for some reason, that one time that I listened to that one solo, and that for those 30 seconds or whatever, my mind, and keep in mind this is before I did any drugs, I wasn't smoking weed or anything like that. I was 13 years old, and my mind like had this like weird psychedelic vision. Wow, it was like going through like this wormhole of like crazy kaleidoscopic colors.
Musical third eye
going around, and like so I think I just always had this like this deep rooted like taste for psychedelic music. So this is Stitched Up Studio, aka Tom's Garage. Let me show you what I got going on. So over here we have the drum set. We're recording drums now, so we got everything mic'd up. Everything's feeding from the drum set mics to my interface, and then I have a separate ADAT interface to connect all the other microphones, because I can only have up to 4 on this one. So basically, this guy communicates with this guy via these cables. It feeds the information digitally. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 down there. And it's all working together in one system. These are all the tracks that we're recording. So we got 2 overheads, 4 toms, kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom, a hi-hat, and then 1 room mic. So that's 12 mics.
So for people who know absolutely nothing about recording, basically what you're saying is this is the drum set, and each one of these pieces has a microphone attached to it.
Yeah.
And then those microphones run along the floor. They go into
my
interfaces.
both interfaces.
Which is where the mic connects to the computer. And then from the interface, it turns it into what you can see on the computer.
Right.
And each one of these tracks right here represents a different microphone that is recording different parts of the drums.
Exactly. I always wanted to be able to like create music on my own, and the way to do that is get into learning how to record. So I actually started on GarageBand on my phone, or it actually started on a MacBook, a 2004 MacBook Pro that I had like when I was in like high school, and I used GarageBand on that. And that's actually what got me like introduced me to like tracking guitars and like this whole like DAW setup. DAW standing for Digital Audio Workstation. So anything that you can like record on.
So this whole thing is a DAW.
So this program is a DAW. That's where I record, I mix, route things, edit things, master. All that stuff gets done within the DAW. I picked up the guitar. I started playing the guitar consistently starting about 12 years old. And then from like, by the time I was like 13, 14, I was already like tracking guitar, writing songs, recording music. It just became like just wanting to learn more and more and wanting to be able to do more and more. And eventually I went to audio school in 2018. And that's where I learned the majority of what I know now as far as audio, recording, mixing, how things work, routing, producing in general, producing music in general.
I got a question for you. Sean's son, what about that that represents you, and why did you choose that name to kind of use to represent you? What does it mean to you?
Well, I am very interested in nature. I feel connected to nature, and the sun itself is the ultimate giver of life to all of nature. I'm very interested in the relationship that we have with nature, the potential relationship that we can have with nature. Yeah, I just think Sean's son it's a good concise representation of that, of how I feel about nature.
You have a recent release, Sean. Tell us about that. What's it called, and what's it about?
It's called Just a Dream. Basically I wrote it a little under a year ago. Going through this an injury and dealing with the feelings that were accompanied with that. Just a very dark time for me. I wrote the lyrics. The beginning of the lyrics basically describes how I'm feeling, but towards the end, towards the peak of the song, it actually flips around and it says, "Here are all these things that are happening, that are continue to happen, no matter what you're going through. The birds are singing, the trees are there, the earth is spinning, the sun is shining, and these things will always happen, no matter what you're going through. And there is, as much as it doesn't feel that way in the moment, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and this whatever you're going through, too shall pass.
So you would say this song is a great reminder that no matter what you're going through, that you're always connected to something greater, and that a change in perspective is important in life.
Oh, yeah.
And what was this song called?
Just a dream.
And it's available where?
It's on YouTube and Bandcamp.
And you better go check it out. Let us know what you think.